Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 198, and today we're going to be playing Akshan Sivir. And so Akshan Sivir, it's one of these decks that's always been in kind of the background of the meta, right? The way that Akshan Sivir typically came into place was people were wanting to play three Demacia-based rally decks in best of three. The easy choice is Scouts. The next easy choice is Poppy Tarek. But what do you do with your third option? And the growing out of that is where we started to see Akshan Sivir pop up. But that is kind of belittling the deck, in my opinion. That kind of makes it say, well, this is just like the worst option available. It's the best of the worst. It's it's the turd on the field, but it's still got a nugget of corn in it. And I don't think that that's really the case. With the deck itself and also how it can function in the meta. And so this does have a few things going for it to where we wouldn't get these advantages out of playing, say, a Poppy Tarek or playing a Scouts-based deck. The first one is the big Spell Shield package. We have a really nice anti-control type package in this deck. Sivir coming to board with Spell Shield, Ruin Runner coming to the board with Spell Shield, and then both of the equipment playing exceptionally well against control decks with the Giral from the Darkened Aegis doing the Stony Suppressor attack thing, and then the Darkened Bloodletters generating the Darkened Thrall in the late game. And so, kind of angle number one of strength here with Akshan Sivir, or we do have this nice anti-control spell shieldy kind of package. Thing number two, coming out of the strength of this deck, is it still carries this nice Overwhelm suite. Used to just in the past really kind of rely on Sivir and giving her the Absolver, but with that same package of Sivir, along with the Zolani from the Darkened Bloodletters, the Ruin Runner having Overwhelm, and then potentially generating Overwhelms out of the Combat Cook, we have this really strong package that helps answer those questions of how do I either attack around with Elusive, attack through with Overwhelm, or attack twice with Rally. We have this big collection of cards that give you Overwhelm. And you're able to overpower these decks and just put dudes on the board. So the play patterns that we see out of Seraphine, the play patterns we see out of the likes of the Nora decks, they all tend to really struggle when we throw these big overwhelms at them. And it's even quite powerful against decks like Scouts, right? That's the way that you typically beat Scouts, is you say, well, I'm not going to win on board, but I can just punch through everything that you're doing. The last two things worth noting within this deck, at least in terms of the core build-around qualities, it does have this standard, really strong early game challenger type package with the Petricite Broadwing, the Merciless Hunter passing out vulnerable, and then with the vulnerable pass outs, you might be able to get quick attack challenges with action. So we have this nice classic board control style element that we used to see out of this deck. And then we do have this still strong Darkened Bloodletters based early game, whether or not that's just coming down, trading out units, and then re-equipping the Bloodletters to make the 4-3 unit, or if it's using the Bloodletters over and over again to kind of turbocharge an action level up. We get lots of really strong combos out of this Darkened Bloodletters action combo. And so that's the real core of the deck. Outside of the core, it's worth noting that we're playing the kind of standard 3 shaped stones. The only other combat tricks we'll be playing are the 1 sharp sight and the 2 absolvers. We haven't gotten too creative in terms of those, but we are playing 1 copy of Curse of the Tomb. I really like having access to Curse of the Tomb in these decks to where we have these giant overwhelm packages. Being able to punch in like 8 or 10 damage out of a Ruin Runner is exceptionally powerful. So I think the 1 copy of the Curse of the Tomb is quite strong. And then we're playing the 2 copies of Golden Aegis. The removal package that we're running today, only 1 single combat, 1 Cataclysm, and 2 Concerted Strikes. So a little bit of interactivity in terms of spells, mainly focusing on the unit-based interactivity to control the board. And so that's it. That's the deck we'll be battling with today. You know what we have to do before the battles begin. We do have to go and pay the pay-to-win price. And we're almost there. I thought that this deck was going to be completely paid in full, but then I forgot that Curse of the Tomb was here. I thought we played some Curse of the Tomb at the beginning of last season. We were playing a lot of Renekton and a lot of OTK-style decks, but the Curse of the Tomb never got the premium treatment. But everything has been fixed. It's all perfect and leveled up now. Let's make sure we're skinned up as well. You're welcome, Akshan. You get your pulse fires. Let's go. Let's head on into battle. Battles with Bust doing the slaying with Sivir. See how this goes. Okay. Let's try this again. I played one game and then I paused the video to sneeze, and then I thought I started it again and it didn't. And I was in the middle of a big Seraphine match. We had some Seraphine Echo deck that was just predicting and really taking forever as expected. And I looked to see how long the match was taking, and I realized I didn't push the start recording button again. And so we'll try our best. I'll try our best to make sure we get all of our games recorded and on the line here. But man, as you all wonder why I just stop at 5 games now amongst this Seraphine Fest, is because that was about an 18-minute game once I looked down, just completely at loss for the content here. And so if you want that kind of thing, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I can't deliver, but man, that's why we're having to kind of change the format. Alright, so I'm fine enough to go ahead and trade the dude off of the board. I don't really want to waste our Brightsteel Protector on this turn, so I'm happy enough to just pass. We'll bank up the mana for this Sharp Sight, that's fine, and then getting a Merciless Hunter into Combat Cook is a reasonable setup for this board. Deliver this nice Vulnerable to action. We could change our mind on this following turn to just play Sivir instead of playing the Combat Cook. She should be safe. It's like, even if he has a way to interact, we have the Sharp Sight behind, and even if we, like, for some reason don't win the combat, we shouldn't just not lose it here. Sure. Could look to, like, actually switch this up, right, and hook the action into the Merciless Hunter, and then offer up this Sivir quick attack into his good unit. I don't think that's ever worthwhile, but you got an option there. All right, well, let's just try it with the Sharp Sight. This is a cheap enough trick. He's probably going to have tricks of his own because he is playing action here, but I want to see, like, how invested we're going to get into this before we start going. Now, I think we just do the Concerted Strike. I'm not quite willing to lose our Sivir here. So he's spent his attack token, adding a bunch of dudes we just don't care about. Let's see. The Buried Armory. Okay. So I think this should be a fairly easy Broadwing into Brightsteel. Then we're still a little protected with the Shape Stone on this turn. Getting really close to getting our Sivir flipped. He doesn't have good blocks on anything. Even if he plays an equipment here, it's not really something to worry about. Or if he plays a Cane, right? This isn't a spectacular place to be dropping a Cane, and so I think we're okay for the moment. So do we change our mind on what's happening with this, right? I don't think so. I'm looking to just attack with these two. Well, we do still have safe attacks with the bird. Then we'll see if we can't just Cataclysm him down after combat. Did get that Cane strike though. Yeah, you gotta watch out for that a little bit. Not entirely certain what he'd be coming at us with, but you get that flip card costs 4, right? The Cane flip. Shadow Step, yeah, it costs 4.
I go where the trouble is. It's never too far.
All right, good job, Sivir. If you can just survive one more turn, you can make the magic happen. This is a pretty decent spot for the Brightsteel Protector now. If we can protect our Sivir and get her into the next round. Just go ahead and drop it. Not looking to take a bunch of vulnerable attacks without her having barrier. Opponent says, uh-oh. That's not good. That's not good. Alright, that's a little better. That's a little stronger. We at least would get to kill this big dum-dum. Should he try and hook Sivir twice.
Not even I know what I'm cooking up.
We've basically just advertised that play is available, but I think it's still a... Is it terrible if he just ends up passing here, right? If we say, okay, you have to attack and potentially fight into our Shape Stones and Concerted Strikes and the like. Concerted Strike's the one that matters, but feels like we are in a pretty bad spot if he just passes and we have to bank like 5 mana. But the important thing to note with this is now that he's tapped down to 1, we do have the Shape Stone. So if he tries to hook Sivir with the big guy, we Shape Stone and win. Then oh no, oh shit, we're too small by 1. I did 7 and 7 with my my mathematics here, and that is not enough to kill the tough unit. Whoops, little whoopsies. Hopefully we don't need that. I mean, I planned it that way. 100% planned. Everybody's like, "How's this dumb fuck get to Masters every season? He can't even count." Whoa, and he's bringing in his 1 mana now? He's bringing in his action with the 1 mana up? It's bold. All right. Now we're a little short of the lethal zone. Let's see what we can do. Need to be winning real fast since he's got 4 cards in hand. Okay. Interesting.
We're not taking it. We're taking it back.
Well, 5 mana to kill 1 unit's pretty decent here. I feel like if we don't win on this turn, like we might have a way to cycle back around and win with like a pot of, with the combat cook and pot of pains and stuff, but it's not looking that good. So he can't add anything else to the board. We can hook the Keeper of the Box way down to the right. Say he blocks our 2 biggest units, the 2 4s. He's going to be taking 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, we're short. Fortunately or unfortunately, we would have been short even with that Shaped Stone, but that's close. Close. GG. All right, next battle. What do we got here? Varus, Master Yi, Lee Sin. Team Ionia coming at us. All right, we'll play the Treasure Seeker. It's, you want to sometimes stop and think whether or not you would prefer to equip your action with the Darkened Bloodletters, but on the odd attacks, I don't really care about action getting that equipment. We can play it on the following turn if we want and still get our attacks in.
Don't want to die? Don't do terrible things.
But yeah, I'm ready to quit like bitching about Seraphine, but that's ultimately been my my struggle with this set is the way I tried to, I can't remember if I talked about it in the previous video, but the way I try to kind of like stop and think about it is like asking myself the question, do I have enough time to play another game? And so it's like what I think is probably like an above average amount of playing the game is, say you have an hour a day, right? You have a half hour in the morning, a half hour in the evening. I know a lot of people that follow the channel have more time than that, right? If you're someone that's out there actively seeking Legends of Runeterra content from a small time creator, there's a pretty decent chance you're heavily invested in the game. You probably play it for more than an hour a day. But for the vast majority of the audience, and myself included, I don't have much more time to play than an hour a day. So if I'm going to play a half hour in the morning and a half hour in the evening, let's say I queue into game number 1. We get paired up against Seraphine and play a wonderful 17-minute match. Now, do I have the chance to queue in again, right? I have to ask myself the questions. If we either get paired against something else, great, that's fine. That'll probably be 7 to 8 minutes. We get another game in, it's all done. But if we queue into Seraphine, like, is our day just over, right? Are we finished at this point? Because like we either now have to just concede and try and queue into something else, or we have to see if they get a really shitty draw and we can win in like 5 minutes, or we have to just say, well, this is going to be a longer game and I'm just going to have to quit in the middle. Because then option 3 is like, well, I'm just not going to play the game anymore. And that is literally the worst potential option that anyone could have for their game, is when your player base starts to go, I don't think I have the time to play the game anymore, so I'm just not going to play. Because as that starts to build up, right, if you have your 14 or 15 half-hour sessions in the week, and then you take 3 or 4 of those sessions and say, I don't think I have the time to play today, I'm not going to play this anymore, you're probably going to start looking elsewhere for things to do. And so that was ultimately, I'll try to like grind it in my head that we're not going to bitch about Seraphine anymore, but that's like the best explanation I have for why I think Seraphine's bad. I don't think the deck is too good. I don't have problems with her play patterns. I don't have problems with the RNG. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, the big problem is that it's that time commitment. Riot has said, well, they haven't really said what the time commitment expectation for a game is, but it feels like it's. I call it the social contract. It feels like the social contract has been breached coming out of 6 months of competitive play, where the average game took like 8 minutes, and now the average game takes like 15 minutes. All right, enough of that. Up against this deck, the spell shields are going to be our friend. I'm not wanting to pass up on them anymore, so having the Ruin Runner turn up is great. We do have the Curse of the Tomb combo ready to go, and so we'll see if we can't close this game out on the next attack. Turns out dealing double damage with a big unit is kind of cool. You get no complaints from me about dealing double damage. Alright, I can see an argument for like blocking in here with Akshan, right? Akshan's probably not going to be doing too much next turn. If we can get him to spend some of his mana here investing in Akshan, I think that's a win. Because, right, we're going to be just trying to kill with a double damage shot with Sivir or the Ruin Runner. Oh, I guess with the Ruin Runner, right? Our Sivir doesn't have Overwhelm yet. Keep that gem in mind. How much mana do we need next turn, right? If we want to Golden Aegis and Curse of the Tomb, it's 6. We're going to have 7 if we don't play anything. I think that's okay. What if we go about it like this? We just boost up our little bro here, get that extra damage in this way, and then now we'll try and double damage if he blocks the Ruin Runner. All right, let's see how it goes. Let's see. We want it like this. We want our quick attacker and then our overwhelmer. Oh, this card. Oh, it takes a. I guess it doesn't completely end our day, but our plans have been our plans have been denied. Dumb card. Could we still win this turn though? We got a lot of power still rolling through. Let's say we add Broadwing. We can add Waking Sands. Waking Sands is a little dangerous here. He's just camping out on 4 mana, so if he has a deny, it's going to be a problem, but Shimon Wind indicates there will be no deny to worry about.
We each hold a world within.
It's a living.
Mortality is madness.
Is this one we actually even care about? I think so. We're gonna have to get get an attack in next turn, and if he has 2 Dragonlings on the board, it's going to be pretty challenging to attack through.
You challenge the wind?
This dude down here will have barrier. It's not going to die to his disciple. Right, that's the setup with this attack. We don't care about the Sandstone Charger dying. Sivir will then flip on this attack, right? 10 damage gets the Sivir to flip. Then she'll pass out the Spell Shield barrier to the rest of our squad. And so the Broadwing and the Dark Enthrall will be protected on this attack. See? It's like a dead board for opponent, a living board for us.
There is no forgiveness.
Okay. Now we just got to see if we get OTK'd. I think now that he's dropped his Varus, we might be okay. It depends on, like, if he has to, say, play a Lee Sin, and then, like, we have a little opportunity to respond. We can play the Golden Aegis and say, you have to win right now. But it's a little slow, right? If he, say, just plays Lee Sin and then gets to attack, we're just sitting here with our barriered unit and our rally, but no way to win the game. But I feel much better now that we drew Cataclysm.
I don't do meditation.
I don't feel like we have to care about this stuff. Let's drop a barrier. See what happens. So the thing we can look at here is we can try and barrier Sivir. We'll see if he has a deny. If he has a deny, I feel like we probably just won the game. It'll be a turn behind. But we can also Brightsteel Protector something else, or we can Cataclysm something, and then get the Warlord's Horde popped, pick up a 5/2, and attack with it. Probably should, if we're going to look to go that play, well, I guess the barrier on Sivir is still okay, right? Because if we want to take the Cataclysm route, then we'll just Cataclysm the Dragonling. But the kind of flip side is, if all of our units have barrier, then the life gain from Dum Dum up here just doesn't matter. All right, taking Fearsome on the Combat Cook. He's a current game winner on this board. Yeah, all these little bros that can't block a Fearsome. If he plays a big boy here, we can hook it out with the Broadwing.
May we bleed forever. Peace to servitude.
Danger pays.
All right, he didn't quite take that route, but if he's just putting a combat trick onto something to not die to our combat cook, that's pretty good. All right, GG. We got a victory. Good job, squad. Scrote squad coming at you. Man, I miss the league. I typically watch a lot of the league. I don't know how many people out there are familiar with football or the world of fantasy football, but the league was a absolutely fantastic show. Regardless of what your thoughts on football are, you don't have to be into football or fantasy football to enjoy the comedy. But those dudes did excellent work, and I miss it. And it's wild how they did the show. If you're not familiar with it, it's I can't remember all of their names. It's gonna bother me now, but it's I can remember them as like Andre and Pete and Rafe, but it's Nick Kroll and it's not gonna come to me. You just have to look it up. But where I was wanting to go is the way that they actually formulate the show is they have an idea of what they want to do. They have like a loose script of what they're going to do, and then they just improv that whole script. And many of those dudes were improv masters before coming onto the show, and it's just so wonderfully and well done. That's where, whenever I start saying stuff like Scrote Squad, Scrote Season, that was one of the that was one of the moments on the show as to where Rafe just starts punching people in the balls. They have a thing to where you just hit each other in the nuts and start yelling Scrote Season. it's apparent. I can't remember the entire deal. It was like 2 days long or something as to where your scrote was in danger. Typical boy stuff. That one lady viewer out there is like, I can't believe you dudes just run around and punch each other in the balls. All right. Nonetheless, this sequence here is like a little awkward. Like I don't super want to get the bloodletters involved on this board, but it's like I guess we could have played the bloodletters and then followed up with the Merciless Hunter. It's just we're quickly getting to the spot to where I don't want the Dark and bloodletters just like locked in on a unit because we're gonna want to pull in the Zolani. And so it's like I don't want to just like stick it on the Vagabond and then kind of hope for the best. So we didn't take that route. Now we'll see if we can't just get them. Let's take this Predict. Here's a Ruin Runner. You have Overwhelm. Now I'm going to kind of break our rule right now and just add in the Sivir. Because I think that we can just get him, right? This is oftentimes a spot to where he just drops the Darkness onto Sivir to break the Spell Shield, and then we get to single combat into the Vagar. So we can't just let this Vagar roll into next turn, though. All right. So I'm going to do it with the Sivir. I don't want the Merciless Hunter just getting boomed by something. They typically don't play a lot of spells that would be able to deal the 2 damage to take the Merciless Hunter down. But I don't want to risk it.
Sand and trouble far as the eye can see.
Pretty good. How about all these spell shields? that's a fun way to party, right? You get all these spell shields on the board. As much as I hate spell shield as well, it's pretty useful for us at the current moment. Is this the time, right? See, it should be obvious that we're up to shenanigans if we just attack with the Merciless Hunter into the Sentinel. And so it's like I would like to play the Dark and Bloodletters, but I mean I think the Sentinel's probably gonna come over and just block the Ruin Runner. And maybe that's where we drop our. Man, it would be so much nicer if we just had one more mana.
After them. That's right. Run.
Right. All right, I would expect the Sentinel to go in front of the Ruin Runner.
Made of.
Right. Okay. And so it's like, as we kind of like started to branch that out, it's like, well, if he's going to be blocking the Ruin Runner with the Sentinel, we could put the Bloodletters on it, but then he's able to just be like, no, I'm not going to block him, I'm going to go block your Merciless Hunter. And so We needed, excuse me, needed one more mana there to really, really pop off. But with our Sivir flipped now, we already have Absolver in hand. He's not doing anything to try and combat the Sivir. I think we're okay.
Fixing the world one scoundrel at a time. Good people don't look the other way.
Joy is a good look in a book and a cat in a lap.
Conchologist. Okay. So we'll see. If we make it to the attack step next turn, I think we're okay. You know, nothing's guaranteed against this deck, but they need a lot. They need like a damage spell, and they need a vengeance. They can't do it with mini morph because it's just not fast enough. So we'll see. We'll see. Do we actually want to play a combat cook here? Because I think it's safe. Not good. Not good equipments.
Fighting food and cooking evil. No, switch those.
There's like a lot of opportunity for this to go wrong. And it's like if he has like the Vile Feast plus Vengeance, he's good. But it's like such a tough spot against this deck to where, interesting, you don't know if they're playing like Vile Feast or Pokey Stick or Go Hard, just the quietest. They just have like so many options in terms of what they're able to try and kill you with. Let's see. At least the positive here is if this goes completely wrong, we still have the means to kill with our action. I don't know why he's doing this. He can't block anymore. Just hoping and dreaming, spraying and praying. All right, GG. Speaking of the entertainments, I did go to the movies yesterday. It's wild. Like, I used to go to the movies maybe like once every 2 weeks. Like, when I was in college, we used to just watch everything. I worked at a movie theater in college, and we just literally watched every single movie that came to the theater. I miss those days, but I don't have the means to do that anymore. But I still used to go, you know, at least like once a month, once every 2 weeks, and then of course COVID put a big damper on those plans. But it's like I know I saw the new Batman, the Edward Pattinson, Robert Pattinson Batman. I managed to go see. And we went and saw Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. I think that was the name of it. I get that confused with Miss Maisel on Amazon, which was also fucking fantastic. But Harris Goes to Paris, I think it was, and then just watched Amsterdam. It was like reasonable. Like I'm curious to the degree that like they're just kind of like building back up and getting into the swing of things. Or if this is just, you know, kind of like their biggest and greatest offerings. It's like it had like a massive cast in it, right? It's got Christian Bale, and it's got the dude from Tenet. And this is the way I have to start describing people. And it's got Gamora in it, and it's got Harley Quinn in it. It's so tough because like I went and watched it with my mom, and she kind of has like a vague idea of who some of these people are. But she's like, "Who's that?" And it's like, "Mom, that's Gamora." And she's like, "No, I don't know. I don't know what Gamora is. What's her real name?" And it's like, "I don't know what the fuck her real name is. I just know that girl's Gamora." She's like, "Oh, well, you're fucking useless." I'm like, well, you know, I try my best, but it was okay. It did get me thinking though, because I get Harley Quinn and I get Black Widow confused, and I was like so proud of Scarlett Johansson there. She of course like she broke away from the Avengers thing to do Black Widow, and then she got to do she got to direct them, and they basically gave her a lot of free reign over Black Widow, and then they were supposed to release the movie in like in physical only. Is that what we call it? Is it in a physical format when you go and like walk into the movie theater now? It's supposed to be a physical release only, and you know they make a shitload of money that way, right? She was supposed to get a percentage of the box office draw, and then Disney was like, "Yeah, fuck you, we're releasing this on Disney Plus at the same time," and she's like, "Well, that's kind of fucked up, you know. You're running away with the bag here, and I want to get paid." And she went and sued Disney, and so I don't know what's happened with that. I don't know if they settled. I haven't seen any more commentary on the matter, but it takes a massive set of stones to just go and sue Disney. And so I wish her the best. I hope she survived and did okay. She wasn't in Amsterdam. It was Margot Robbie, so hope she made it. All right, this game, I started talking and I'm getting confused. And so, like 2 turns ago, I thought we were going to be able to take down this Laurent protege with a single shapestone. And then we hadn't played a landmark. And so I did go ahead and play the second shapestone to try and get the kill. I was suspecting like 1 combat trick would be okay, but at the end of the day, I thought we might be able to take the protege down because they typically just play like a +1/+1. And so if we were playing 2 tricks, it would have been fine. And then that all kind of went to shit. We're still kind of okay here. But we need to be finding a way to win, and the only way we have to win is Ruin Runner, right? If it comes into the next turn and he gets to attack, we're just dead. And so we're going to have to look to attack here, get him to do some amount of blocking, and then hopefully we can rally and attack with the Ruin Runner next turn. I'll try to stop talking about actors that I can't remember their names and see. We got the whole league full of actors of people I can't remember. And we got a movie with Backman, and it's got I at least get the guy from Tenet. I can't remember his name. I know he's not Black Panther, and I know that he's not the Falcon. I know the Falcon is Anthony Mackie because he was in the greatest movie of all time, We Are Marshall. I think I got a Marshall shirt on today. Yeah, it's not even just the greatest sports movie. It's not the greatest football movie. Just the actual greatest movie of all time, We Are Marshall. Anthony Mackie was in that one, but it's so tough. All right, I still feel like opponent. It seemed like they had a rally. He might be in this kind of spot you'll find with this deck as to where you just actually draw like 2 Relentless Pursuits and a Golden Aegis, and you're like, oh fuck, I can't actually do anything. But he's looking pretty set to get a kill here. Oh, maybe not. An open would be really bad, but it ain't over till it's over. Alright, well, we're not technically dead to this. He has like a sharp sight. He's ordered his units wrong, so I think we don't have to worry about that. Oh my gosh, and he's just strong enough to kill our dude? Sad noises. Okay. This strikes me as he probably did this wrong. Oh, okay. Oh, I don't quite understand why you wouldn't do that beforehand. Just attack with Poppy on the left and then have the rest of the attack go through. But it's enough to beat us here. GG. All right. The final battle is upon us. I'll try and go this entire set of games without talking about actors I can't remember their names, TV shows, movies, bitching about Seraphine. I just cut all that out. I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about anymore. I could talk about my hydroponics. I got that up and running again. I've been meaning to take pictures of it and put it on the Twitter. My lettuces are going. My kales are going. I threw away my peppers and I replaced those with some heirloom tomatoes. And then I got my herbs going. So it's all going. It's all making its way through as we're about to hit winter season here. Kind of excited about it. I think tomatoes usually take like 3 months to really get going, and they've been going for probably like 3 weeks at this point. So I'm hoping once we kind of get into the dregs of winter, I'll be able to rock the world, blow people's mind with my pink tiger tomatoes. And of course, the wife does not like tomatoes, so just more for me. More for me. That shit's choice. All right, the old action Varus. This is fine. If he has a combat trick to take down our bird, it's okay. I think kind of the big thing here is it's like so. I'm curious what like the win rate of these decks is when you draw action compared to when you don't. He's just such a. It's again, it's like he's kind of like a death by 1,000 cuts, right? He doesn't feel like he's doing a whole lot, but he's doing a whole lot. It just takes a long time for a long time for all of that to roll through, and so it's like that was like my positive note for the previous turn was like, well, at least he didn't have action because we don't have one either. So I don't want to get involved with this Vagabond when we don't have access to combat tricks. So I'm looking here to just drop a Merciless Hunter onto it. If we want to hook it in, maybe we will, maybe we won't. But just blocking it without access to any mana felt kind of disastrous. Pretty confident he has a Shape Stone at this point. But is the Varus important enough to just come in and take down? He's not a very safe takedown. Let's just do this. Right? We don't have to be getting aggressive with this Broadwing. And then I assume like he's just not going to block the Merciless Hunter. Or if he does, he's going to have a Shape Stone, then we can use our Shape Stone. Yeah. But it gets to be a little bit dangerous if we're trying to send in the bird, right? And then we have to kind of make the option on which one of these we want to go, right? Any of you all that have been playing Marvel Snap over the past week should know exactly what I'm talking about with this point, and trying to decide which lane to put this last card in to where you don't just get scooped across all three. I think the choice here was just to not attack with the Broadwing, and that leaves us in a fairly safe space.
We love it when they run.
Lunari, Solari, deluded fools.
We need a little bit of something to do, though. We can still safely kind of take this damage. I'm sure this guy like plays the Absolver and he can OTK us with the bow or something, but at least the way that this game has been playing out, I feel like we can take this chip damage kind of safely. Definitely now that we've picked up a Concerted Strike. But unfortunately, no overwhelms at the moment. We can't make really sweet plays with the Curse of the Tomb. I guess we can make some sweet plays, right? If he says, like, plays another Varus, we can obliterate Varus and destroy the weapons while we're at it and stuff, but doesn't sound quite like the play I want to be making here.
Both sun
What?
and moon pale in comparison.
Maybe it is. Maybe this will be the time. Get that darkened bow right out of here.
I know what we are.
Alright, give a unit. I take double damage from everything. Varus. Now I get to draw some cards next turn. The pick of the litter, if you will. All of the power rolling through now. I'm leaning towards, like, action is just like a little bit too slow. It has to either be Sivir or Ruin Runner. The downside with Sivir is that she can't actually punch in damage, to where the Ruin Runner is a little bit more fragile. But it does give us the opportunity to win the game with the Golden Aegis. And so I'm going to go for the win here. Going to go for the W. We do have a way to, protect the dude next turn if we pull in a hook with the Broadwing. and then we can get the second attack safely in with the Golden Aegis. And so it's going to be close, right? He's at 12, and we have the 6 damage attacker, but see what we can do. It's like he's going all in. So has he played 2 momentous choices? Yeah, he's played 2. So I mean that's basically the only combat trick left. He could have the Absolver, which would be a little problematic, but I'm leaning towards doing it. Well, God, that's so tough. Like we're just dead if he has the Absolver. I think we just have to kind of go for that though.
Brave and dumb.
It's gonna get +2. No, we'll be dead either way. All right. Oh, backwards. I was thinking, though, I was counting 3 damage from the Ruin Runner because I was doing 2 damage math with the Broadwing. So we might be able to take down Varus with this one. We're actually dealing 8 damage and not dealing not dealing 5. But right, typically, under most situations, and in this one as well, we should just be blocking the Varus. So if something goes strong with the strike, then we don't just die, right? If you're dead, you can't make any more plays. If the Ruin Runner gets killed, then, you know, we still have a shot. We still have something to kind of come up with and decide if we can win the game from that point forward. But, you know, brutal. Brutal. All right, we'll try it next turn, I guess. Put the Darkened Bow on this thing? All right, Sivir, carry us to the promised land. Let's see what we can do. That wasn't very nice. Still got to worry quite a bit here about overwhelms coming in, but much can he really do if he says puts the Darkened Bloodletters onto the Dark Thrall? Interesting. That's where he's coming in. He's going to Darken Bloodletters something here. So if we need to get on board with the defensive unit, let's just play Akshan. He's going to come in and flip, give us that Warlord's Palace, then we'll kill off Akshan with our Bloodletters and see if we can't get some more favorable blocks happening here.
And now peace is just moments away. War is a curse I cannot.
We have to block. It's just too scared. Well, oh, he no attacks? Oh, fam. That feels good. Action turning up as well. I feel like we just drew like 5 champions in a row. No luck involved. Nothing. Never lucky. Alright, we have to attack now. We have to get these spell shields happening, the quick attacks happening. It's just, you can't give him a chance to just be like, LOL, it's a grappling hook or something. So this is going to shrinken up our Zolani. He has spell shield, so it's going to eat 2. That just not straight up not do anything? Why didn't that do anything?
You are better than this.
Does that I'm curious if this is how it works, since Sivir has when I'm attacking my allies have my keywords. Does that refresh and put... There's no way. There's no way it works like that. Huh. Well. Interesting. Well, I feel like we've won at this point, but... That's very strange that that Frostbite didn't do anything. We'll have to ask the rules gurus of the world what was going on there. Kick. GG. All right, so not a bad set of games, not a bad set of games. And so we didn't play against any of the big boogeymen of the format. We didn't manage any Seraphines or Vaynes in those matches. I will go ahead and drop some knowledge on you. The Seraphine matchups are okay. Right, it's going to be fairly close to even to slightly positive. It's not some kind of all-star super strong matchup, but it's should be slightly positive in your favor, and you should feel okay playing against that matchup. If you're looking at the good matchups on the screen here, where it has Rumble Vayne as a good one, this is a small sample size. This is only 15 games here. All of these Rumble matchups are horrifically bad. More up to speed is going to be this Rumble matchup over here, or I'm sorry, this Vayne matchup over here, where you see Vayne Jackson a 33% win rate. That's more along the lines of what you're going to be seeing, and that if you remember back to the kind of classic matchups of Scouts versus Pantheon, it's very similar in that we're developing these like really wide boards. We're hoping to get some board control with our challenges, and then we're going to take advantage of that big and wide board somehow. Excuse me, and these Vayne decks are just going to go, LOL, here's an overwhelm multiple times. That's like the same play pattern that you used to run into against Yuumi Pantheon and now the current Pantheon decks, and that's the same thing that you would see from like a Darius Nar or a Sejuani Gangplank. Those are all decks that provide a lot of problems to these Demacia-based go wide rally style decks, and so Vayne is still right up in that camp. And so again, just regardless of what the matchup meters say on the screen, the Seraphine deck should be fairly even to slightly positive. The Vayne matchup should be terrible, and then we are quite strong against these decks trying to play like physical removal spells, right? We have access to all of these spell shields. You can see how strong the spell shields were against the Nora Vagar deck earlier. Just having access to that's quite strong and powerful. And so that was it. Not a bad set of battles. I had fun with it. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. I hope you battle with Bust and slay with Sivir. I hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.